All right. So let's go to Illustrator. Everybody there? Sebastian, can you guys open it? I want everybody to be on Illustrator. And we're going to make a new file. All right, you guys there? Yeah, okay, so new file. Now, it's going to be 8.5 by 11, but it's going to be horizontal or landscape instead of vertical, right? I like to say this is monito up, monito sideways, right? If anybody knows what that means. So we want it sideways, this one. So it'll say 11 by 8.5. Remember, do not get these wrong. I've already had people who didn't have it in inches, right? It was like in points, and their work was tiny, right? You don't want that. It's 8.5 by 11. All right, not anything else. So we want it sideways. Say okay, create. All right. So one of the first things we got to do is figure out where, this is just one way of doing this, where the middle of this document is. And what I mean by the middle, vertical and horizontal. All right. So if you haven't done so, we need the rulers, Command R. Command R. All right. Everybody got that? And then let's go to layers. And I'm going to start getting after some of you guys who are not naming your layers. You only got one layer. Guys, we can't do that. If there's anything you learn from this class from me, is how to make your files professional, right? And I mean, I'm not trying to be mean or just tell you what to do. It's because that's the way it should be, right? So this one, layer one, we're going to call it guides. Guides. Let me zoom in. Make sure you name it guides. Or guides. What's the day? The 3rd, right? Ooh. Some lucky person this morning is gonna be chosen to flip my calendar. I have a calendar over here. It's very interesting. You'll see it later, but you're gonna get to flip it to the new month. It's pretty funny. But anyway, okay, so everybody put guides, right? Yes, on your layers. All right, next step. So a lot of people ask, how can I find the center of this document, right? And it's 8.5 by 11. So one quick way is, what if we draw a shape like the rectangle tool? And I like to do it this way at first because it's very visual. So get your rectangle tool. Let's fill it with, I don't know, red. And no stroke. And I'm going to go help Xavier real quick because he's just starting. You got it? Yeah. And then look right there. Every shape. All right, we got to catch him up. All right. So you need your rulers, right? If you don't have your rulers, Command R. Look at how they toggle back and forth. And we're going to get the rectangle tool, and we're going to go up to this top corner. If you have your smart guides on, it'll tell you in purple on mine, intersect. And let's see, there's a thing, yeah, right here under view. If you don't have this one that says smart guides at the bottom, I don't know if I can zoom in on that at the bottom. See, yeah, it says smart guides, have that checked on, and that kind of helps. Also this one, if you have show bounding box, you should select it. You want it to look like this, hide, because that's the box around the edges of objects and shapes and that lets you scale and stuff. So that should be just like that. But smart guides should be on. All right. So notice how it says intersect, and you're going to click and hold and drag and draw a perfect 8.5 by 11 rectangle, right? It's like we're filling it with color. All right. Everybody there? Let's see if this works. Cool. And if you're not sure, you can check on your transform, go to window, transform. And this window will pop out and it tells you, look, I drew this shape, right? And then you can see the X and Y axis where it's at on my document. So it kind of should look like this. All right, everybody there? All right. So the next step is inside of the rulers, you cannot see these guides, okay? But they exist in there, top and bottom. Watch this. If I go to this side ruler and I click and hold down the mouse and start dragging, you'll see this. You cannot see it up on the monitor. You'll see this little dotted line thing. And if you bring it right over while you're holding the mouse down, it'll say center. And you release it as soon as you saw that. And now, see how it must be selected, your thing. It helps if it's selected. It doesn't have to be. Now let's do the top down, and you'll also find the center. And now you'll have kind of two guides that kind of help you there. Yes. Let me do that one more time. So there's my rectangle, right? I made sure it was centered. I made sure it was exactly 11 and a half, 11 by 8.5, I'm sorry. And then I select it. I go to my ruler. I click and I hold and I drag. And I release when it says center. And I do the same to the top. So now I have a visual reference of where the middle of my document is, both horizontally and vertically. All right, this is just one way. There's other ways to do this, but I like this again because it's very visual. All right, so having done that, let's get rid of the red rectangle. We don't need it. And then it's going to be very hard to see up on the screen my guides, but they're there. The next thing is very important. Go to window, view, guides, view, I'm sorry. Guides, view, guides. And then make sure that your guides are locked. If you see like mine right now, it says unlocked, then don't select it. It means they're locked. Okay. But if you unlock them, I want everybody to see this. It's going to be kind of hard to see up on the screen, but your guides, you can lock them and unlock them, but be aware they will never print, right? They're this weird light blue. Notice how they don't have a color, right? But if they're unlocked, you can accidentally select them and they will duplicate or move just like any other vector image or shape. I don't know if you guys can see up on the monitor. It's kind of dark, right? So be aware that your guides should be locked most of the time, unless you're adjusting them, right? So they will repeat and copy and paste. So make sure that they are locked. So go up to view, guides, lock guides, or the command is shift command semicolon. Well, that's weird. Shift command semicolon locks them or unlocks them. All right. So everybody got that? Okay. Now, you guys ready for the next step? We're still going to do one more guide. So we're still on the same layer. All right. Now we're going to do the same thing. Rectangle tool, red fill, no stroke. And you're going to get the rectangle tool and you're going to double click it right here. and we're gonna put 0.25 tab 0.25. We're making a 1/4 inch square, red square. So it should be tiny, and then you're gonna zoom in and you're gonna bring this tiny little square right there and have it snap right in the corner like that. Anybody need help? Anyone need help? Should be a 0.25. No stroke on it. No stroke because all right. Anyone else? All right. So everybody put that little square there. Yeah. Now, this is important because a lot of people don't get this at the beginning. Make sure that as you go forward using Illustrator, when you're trying to manipulate very small things, see how I'm zoomed out, right? Make sure when you're trying to manipulate or lay down guides on very small things that you zoom in. Look at, I thought I was right at the corner. Do you guys see what's going on? Am I right at the corner with my little red square? What do you guys think? It looks from far away. It's like me telling you guys, I want you to trace that fish on the door over there, the door that we exit the room. You guys see there's a fish made out of type. I've had it on there forever. It's like me telling you, measure that from here or trace it from here. It's impossible to be correct, right? So I did that on purpose so everybody would see that when you zoom in, this is a reality of a vector program like what we're in, right? So I need to make sure it's right in the corner. And sometimes the, what do you call it? The smart guys will help you with that. All right. See if I do this. And it didn't help me when I was far away. So we got to make sure it's like right up against there. Cool. Everybody there? That's just an illustration of what you need to really see and make sure that you're doing right. Okay. All right. So now we have it there and we're zoomed in, right? Just like this. Everybody zoomed in. So guess what? We're going to create a guide, click and hold and drag. And we're going to make a guide on the right side and on the bottom of it like that. Cool. And then we're going to zoom out. And I'm going to take this same little square. Make sure you zoom in. And I'm grabbing mine from the center. And I'm bringing it down to the other corner. It's like playing a video game here. And I'm doing the same thing down here. I'm going to zoom in. Right there. Boom. Snappy. Right there. And the same thing. Guide on the top. And it'll snap. Guide on the left. And let me get rid of that little square. So you should have these guides. It's very hard to see up on the screen. You guys see it? So we created these guides for our card, right? Now, one of the reasons we're doing this is in graphic design, you like to have what we call a bleed or an area off on the corners of any printed product, a box, a label, a calendar, right? A poster. If the ink goes off the edges, you want to have this little area of what we call like a safety area, right? We typically don't want any important text. We don't want, say, a photo that you wouldn't want to cut off. You don't want it in this area because number one, it's kind of bad design. It looks kind of weird. Now, I'm not saying stuff can't go off the edges and be cut off. I'm just saying, as a basic rule, you want everything to fall inside of these guides. That's important, right? And obviously down the middle, this is going to be our card. This is just one side, right? we want this to be the fold line, right? And there's even another guide we'll set up right here, right now, that we call the gutter. Anybody ever heard about the gutter? Anybody been in the gutter? I hope not. All right. Okay, you ready? You guys ready? All right, so the next step, we're gonna set up that gutter, and we're gonna go here to the middle. I know it's kind of hard to see up on the screen. Right down the middle where you have your guide. And then we're gonna do, should we do a quarter or an eighth? Let's do a quarter again. This is good practice. So let's get the square tool again, the rectangle tool. Let's make this one limey green, bright green. Okay. And you know what? Let's do a quarter of an inch. The same thing, 0.25. All right. Now this one, we're going to place here. We're going to do it on both sides. So zoom in right there. And I'm just going to put one to the left. This is going to be easy. And then I just move this guy over here to this side. And I create a guide to the right. And then we delete it. Right? So again, these are guides, especially for type, especially for images, and it'll keep all our content, all our design of our card equally spaced if it needs to be. All right. And I'm going to save mine on my cloud. We're going to call this, this is important too. Let's call this outside of card. .ai. I'll give you guys a second. Outside of card.ai. Anybody having issues? Anybody so far behind they don't know what they're doing? It's okay. All right, let me go over here. Let me pause. Pause recording. All right, so I forgot to record that, but I was basically showing you guys you can make multiple documents within Illustrator. So that's like multiple pages, and they don't all have to be the same. Obviously, I can make other documents. Some of you guys that have been lucky enough to create the sticker sheet, right? You understand how the document size can be changed, right? You guys did like 52 inches or 51, right? It's really up to you. And as we go forward and design stuff and print stuff out, I mean, we can really print as large as we can on that big printer, right? Or say we do something on the engraver, it could be up to 18 by 24 inches. So actually you can see how you could adjust that. All right. 18 by 24 on the laser engraver. That's how big a file you could make and fit on there. Okay. So this is our setup for our card. Now I want everybody to do this. Do a file, save as, and do it again. But this one you're going to call inside. There's outside and inside. So inside. Cool. So everyone should have both the inside and their outside of their card set up in Adobe Illustrator, right? And the cool thing about this is, guess what? You can, if you ever do another card, right, a standard greeting card, you already have the file set up, right? You could have it on your cloud. You could save it on a hard drive. You can use this for the rest of your life if you do any kind of card that's a standard size, right? And also, I add these guides because we're going to use our little laser printer here in class, right, to print these out. And as you know, some of these printers cannot print to the very edge. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? It won't go all the way to the edge. So we kind of, we might not get the color to go all the way to the edges. That's just a limitation of this classroom and our equipment, right? Now, can you buy printers, home printers like inkjet ones that you can print all the way to the edge? Yeah, they're not usually very accurate, but we're going to try our best with this, okay? All right. So everyone understand what we're doing here? And the last part I'll leave you with here before I go and see your mock-ups. Remember, I really want you to have something on paper, right? I'll post the date, like to start bringing your items so we can photograph them next class. Remember, this week is short. We only have 2 days. So I'd like to get this going. But for those of you guys who already kind of have an idea of what's going to go on your card, let me just show you. So the guides, I'm going to lock that layer, right? So this is my inside of my card, right? Let me open my outside because that's the one I wanted to start with. So I'm going to close this one. And I'm going to open my outside, and you can follow along if you want or just watch the video later. But for example, we're looking at this backwards. When we design stuff that's flat, like a book, a calendar, a greeting card like this, everybody watching? I'm going to type front panel of card. And then and it's going to be confusing for some people. Back, front panel. All right. Now, what does this mean? So when you're designing a card, we're looking at it flat in Illustrator, right? So let me come over here. And we have a sample here. So everybody look over here real quick. So, everyone looking? And I'll pass these around again. Got it. So, what are we looking at? We're looking at, see this card right here? See this card? Right? We're looking at it flat like this, flat. So this is our front panel, the one on the right. Right? And people are gonna get confused. It's okay. It's gonna happen, right? So the other file, the inside, is gonna be this. See how they make sense. So yeah, so this one's the outside, right? So we're gonna look at it flat like this. So we always design stuff like this way, all right? Never do you do just one like this, and if you've done it that way, that's cool, but you're learning the professional way how to set this up, because why would you add extra steps, right? Some people that design just one panel at a time on one document. Well, then you gotta put them together somehow. How are you gonna print them out, right? If you separate it. So again, here is our front panel. So this is literally gonna be this side, okay? Does that make sense? This is literally how a book cover is done. Any book you see anywhere. Ooh, I could have sworn I just saw a mosquito or something. It better not be. Anyway, okay. So having said that, right? What I like to do, and I hope you guys do it too, right underneath here, outside in the gray area, I'm gonna go to my front panel and I'm gonna call it right down here. Look right here with a type tool, and just doesn't matter what font, just put front. You guys see that? Front. It just kind of helps me visually to not get confused. Okay, so that should be on the front panel of the card, right? It's on that layer. And then I'm going to go to the back panel, and I'll just copy and paste this onto the back panel. And I'm going to, oops, no stretching. And I'm going to put this, and I'll kind of call it back. That just helps me visually, right? Does this make sense? Cool. And let's hit save. Okay, so just to give you an example, and you don't have to do this, but watch this. If I have one color on the whole card, then I would make its own layer and I'd call it background color. And you're gonna see how it's starting to put together, background color, and call it both sides if you have the color going on both sides. I'll bring that up. And let's do let's do yellowish. And then I would draw on the background color a shape that covers the entire document. And that's already the base color of my card, right? So as we go forward, you want to make sure that you name every layer either front or back, whatever item, shape, picture, right? To keep you organized. All right. So also just as a reminder, what if I wanted to do a nice gradient? I go to window, gradient, right? I want to add a color. I'm going to drag my yellow onto the gradient to introduce it. And I don't want black, but look at what I'm doing. And then look at the sliders. If I hold down Option while I drag it, it makes a copy of that slider. And now say I wanted it to blend to, I don't know, say orange, right? So that's literally what my outside of my card colors would be. Notice I have the white kind of in the center. I can still adjust that. So that would be literally right down the spine, right? Or the back of it would be almost white. I know it's kind of hard to see up here. What if I increase this? You see how I can manipulate the color how I want, right? Okay. So this would literally be the outside of my card. It would be bright yellow, fading to white, and then fading into like an orange. All right. That's just an example. So that's my base color of my card, right? Check this out. So I'm going to lock that one. Now I'm going to start working on the front of my card. So most people will have either a picture or text or both, right? So check it out. I'm going to put front cover. Mine is going to be a lightsaber, right? I showed you guys this last time. I still haven't found it. I know it's somewhere here or at home. Shift Command P. I'm going to place my lightsaber. I just saved this right now while we were getting ready. All right. Again, you don't have anything to place in particular, but that's okay. I'm just showing you. So I'm going to place my image. I have not cut it out yet. So I'm going to do a quick clipping mask. You guys are going to watch me do this real quick, right? Remember an object like this, a shape, a picture, I can lock it, Command 2, that's like taping it down. And I'm going to get my pen tool. And don't worry, we'll have more pen tool practice. We haven't really had a lot of it. I put it on a stroke only. And we'll be doing that a little bit next week. But once you get really good with the pen tool, you can do this pretty quick. It's not perfect. It's easier to edit this probably in Photoshop, but basically I'm trying to get rid of the background real quick. Again, you don't have to do this, just watch. And when you get pretty good with the pen tool, you'll do pretty good clipping masks very quickly. And remember, pen tool, when you're doing this kind of stuff, the least amount of points is always best, because that way you get really nice curves. I don't know if anybody's heard, there's a technical term for these curves. They're called Bezier curves. It's kind of a Frenchy word, but that just means that they're very smooth and the transitions are very smooth. And we'll go over that later. You guys don't know how many years I've been doing clipping masks and clipping paths. Since before you were born. All right. So I drew my path. I unlock my picture. Option Command 2. I select both. Command 7, right, to get our clipping mask. And then you can see now I've got my lightsaber, right? And it's on its own layer that says front cover lightsaber, right? Try to be as organized as you can with this. I know it's difficult for some of you guys, just like it is for me, but if you learn anything from me, it's have beautiful looking files, right? because you never know who's going to work on them. You never know if you work somewhere where they pass this on to somebody else, right? And you don't want people calling out how horrible your files are. I can tell you that. Or if you're sending them to an actual printer and trying to get them printed, I can tell you they'll know you're a professional if you send them beautiful files. There's always people that send horrible files in. You don't want to build a reputation about being horrible files, right? Anyone? Right? Don't you guys want to feel like you're a professional? All right, I'm gonna do a quick little uh, drop shadow. Say okay, right? So as you see, I'm starting to put stuff together, right? And I don't know, I'm just gonna put some random text here. Guess what I'm gonna type? I'm gonna type front text, right? And then I'm gonna put front text. I could do a line of type. I'm gonna put may the, and then dot dot dot. Again, I'm just playing around here. I think I do have the Distant Galaxy fake Star Wars font, right? Installed, I do. All right. And again, you see how this is coming together, right? You're starting to do your card. You're starting to put your card together. And notice how with the guides, it's letting me know, right? I wouldn't want this over here. You don't want stuff against the edge because it's going to mess it up. All right. So there's the front of mine. I could modify the text a little bit more. I could stack them if I wanted to. Maybe I want to do this, scale down the thing. All right. See, I don't know. I'm just messing around, but you're starting to get the idea, right? And then what if I had a texture front texture Shift Command P, right? So you write front or back. Everyone see what I'm talking about? And you start putting your card together that way. Let me see if there's a texture. Oh, I like this one. Dark rusty metal. Oh, excuse me. Place. Now watch this. I'm going to scale it. And then I could do a transparency. And we're almost done here, okay? And then I'll let you guys work. So you do a multiply, overlay. Oh, that's kind of cool. Difference. Oh, scratchy. Exclusion. Lighten. See, but that's affecting everything. I'm going to move the whole layer right now. I like that one. So say I do something like this, and then I go back to my front texture and I drag it down. Look at that. In just a few steps. Well, it's kind of cool. Right? Now that could be a photo that you took. Can we clipping mask this? Can we scale it? Remember, no stretching. People want to stretch stuff, and that's fine, but we don't want to stretch stuff. Now this part hanging off, could I do a quick clipping mask on my texture? Hold down my picture. Oops. Why not? I have them on the wrong layer. Oh, wrong layer. Sorry. There we go. They were not on the same layer. There we go. See? Right? So this could be an image, this could be a texture, right? And we start putting our card together. All right. And then the last part I'll show you, obviously, if we were doing the back, right? That's where we're going to do our UPC code back, UPC code. Now, most people want to go to the internet and download a low-res UPC code, but I'm not going to do that. You guys are actually going to build your own. I'm going to show you how, okay? You don't have to follow along. Just this will be very fast. So say I went to the internet and I type UPC code images, and again, you don't have to do this. I'm just showing you. It'll be on the video. Mostly explanations here. So a lot of people like to just go here and click and you download one. But I'm going to show you we can build one. Because if you download one from the internet, it's going to be low res and ugly. All right. So I'm going to go new layer, back. I can say back panel UPC code, Shift Command P. Right? You guys watching? We're almost done. A few more minutes. And there's my UPC, and it's usually down here, right? And then this is where I'm going to tell you you're going to come up with a name also for your greeting card business, right? You don't have to take too long with that. But there's my UPC. And some people say, well, that's good enough. No, but if you look, it's very pixelated. It's ugly. And I really need everybody to pay attention here. Look at this. Don't tell me at this point in the game that you can't draw rectangles in Illustrator. What do you guys think? Show of hands, anybody that can draw rectangles in Illustrator. Even Xavier should be holding his hand up. Can you guys draw rectangles with color in them? Yeah, Alani, Amani, right? Everybody's hand should be up. I want you guys to start looking at stuff. What basic shape is the white rectangle? I just said it. What do you guys think? Sebastian? Anyone? It's a rectangle. Can you draw a rectangle like this and fill it with white, right? Of course. Could I even round the corners a little bit like that? I like that better. It doesn't look so cut off. All right, so I draw a rectangle. Command 2. Oops. Command 2 is lock an item. Not a layer, not everything on a layer, just that item. It's like taping it down, right? Can I now get the same tool, fill it with black, right? And kind of draw a long, thin strip like this. And hold down Option and Shift like I've showed you guys. What do you guys think? And make a quick copy? Yes? Everybody? Everyone should be able to do this. And then you draw another thicker one like that, right? And then I draw another thinner one like this, right? Like this. And I move this guy over. Oops. So don't tell me you can't do this. And then what if I select all those and randomly just kind of Command D? Now that one's kind of weird because it looks repeated, right? But I can come back and adjust some of these so they don't look so weird, right? Everyone should be able to do this. Don't tell me you cannot do this, right? Does it take a few seconds? Less than a minute. Can I move some of these in? Watch this. See how these are too far down, right? Can I get my direct select arrow and only select these middle ones and then use my arrow keys and move them back up so they're the right height? I forgot that one. Right? And edit this as I need to. It doesn't look right. I'm going to bring the two outer ones with my regular arrow and just copy them. Oops. And then select all of them and group them, Command G, and center them. And unlock my UPC white background. Select everything again, Command G, group those. So now I just did my own UPC. It's fake. Yes, we're not actually doing a real UPC, but these are the basics of building something with Illustrator, right? And is it gonna print sharp? What do you guys think? Huh? As a matter of fact, you know what I'll do later when we do some of the stickers? I'm gonna make my own giant UPC label as a sticker, and I can make it the size of the window back here if I wanted to. And it's gonna be sharp and beautiful, right? Now, check this out. I'm also gonna put, and what I'm gonna suggest to you guys is if you have an important date for this card, or even when you give it out to them, what I like to do is I'll get the type tool and I'll do like 000. What's the month? 9, right? 9, and then you skip, and then what's the day? The 3rd, 003, and then you skip, and 2024. I don't know. Now I do want a regular font. Let's do the Myriad, the default. Let's do something like that. See? And then I make my own, right? It could be an anniversary date. It could be a birthday date. It could be the date if you happen to know when they gave you this thing. Whatever you want to put in here. I like to do that. It's like my secret code, right? And then what if these numbers don't reach all the way? What do I do? And I remember, do I stretch them? No, do not stretch them. Number one, I have a text box, right? So right here on my character palette, Command T, right? My tool, my type, there's this one right here. There's a little icon VA that's just telling you that's the tracking. Some people call it kerning, but it's the space in between. Look at the numbers. We're not stretching them. If you use the shift, it'll move them farther. You're putting space in between. That is the correct way. All right. Do not stretch it. All right. Look at that. I made it fit. Does that look legit, more or less? What do you guys think? Yeah, we make it ourselves, right? That's why Illustrator is here, right? Anybody can take stuff from the internet that's low res and ugly and not yours. Don't do that. Use Illustrator, right? That did not take me that long. And they're the same techniques I've shown you guys from the beginning, all right? Except Xavier, because I got to catch him up on the tools, all right? So check it out. There it is. And I group it, and I've got my own custom UPC. You're welcome. Pay me. All right, everybody got that? Cool. That's how we start putting our card together. Like I said, I do want to see your rough drafts today. If you haven't finished it or done it, you better get on it, because you are going to turn in those rough drafts. I want you to either scan them or take a picture later. I have not posted that on Schoology, but I will. All right. Everyone understand what we're doing? Yeah. How it's going to come together? Yeah. Again, this does not mean start right on the computer and start putting stuff together if you haven't done your mock-up. I need to see that on paper today, all right? And you are going to turn them in. So we got the rest of class to do that. Get your ideas going. If you have not responded to the Schoology, I already posted about choosing that object or that toy or whatever. You really need to do that. I'm going to start upgrading grades this week. I don't know if you guys know, next week we have parent-teacher conference on Wednesday. If you can make it out here, cool. Sometimes people just don't have time to make it all the way out here. I understand some of you guys like West Side and stuff. But we do have parent-teacher conference on Wednesday next week, as far as I remember, for high schools. All right, cool. Any questions, guys, before I close this up? Everyone good? You see how it's going to come together, yes? All right. So let me stop the recording.